Welcome to this cinematic journey, a slow and deliberate descent into sound, shadow, memory, and truth. Tonight, the screen opens not with celebration, but with atmosphere, rain falling against glass, neon lights reflected on empty streets, distant traffic humming like a restless heartbeat. This is not simply a documentary about an artist. It is a story about emotion as language, about how pain learns to speak when words feel insufficient. We learn English not only through grammar and sentences, but through lives that shaped culture and gave meaning to feeling. And few voices of the modern era spoke with such raw intensity, contradiction, vulnerability, and honesty as XXXTENTACION, Jahseh Dwayne Ricardo Onfroy. A name that became a sound, a symbol, a question mark. A voice born from chaos, rebellion, and an unfiltered search for meaning in a world that rarely offered simple answers. The camera drifts over Florida at night. Wide roads stretch into darkness. Streetlights flicker. Palm trees sway under heavy clouds. The environment feels open yet isolating, bright yet lonely. This is where the story truly begins, far from stages and applause, far from streaming numbers and headlines. Jahseh Onfroy's early life was shaped by instability, movement, and emotional turbulence. Childhood photographs appear on screen like fragments of a memory. Moments frozen in time, already carrying distance within them. There was no clear sense of permanence, no predictable rhythm of safety. Home was not a fixed place. It was an idea that shifted constantly. From an early age, there was a feeling of being out of place, of standing slightly outside the world while desperately wanting to be seen by it. As the years passed, inner conflict became a constant presence. Jahseh did not simply experience emotions, he lived inside them. Anger, sadness, curiosity, confusion, and hope collided without warning. Authority felt restrictive. Structure felt unfamiliar. Discipline felt imposed rather than earned. The world often appeared hostile, and reaction became instinct. This documentary does not glorify these struggles. Instead, it observes them honestly, understanding that many artists are shaped not by comfort, but by emotional pressure that demands release. Loneliness was not poetic, it was heavy. Frustration was not symbolic, it was real. And identity was not discovered easily, it was fought for. The visuals slow down. Empty school hallways. Quiet rooms. Long pauses between moments. The sense of searching is constant. Jahseh was looking for something: connection, understanding, control, expression, even if he could not yet name it. In this environment, silence became unbearable and sound became necessary. Music entered not as ambition, but as survival. A way to breathe when everything else felt too tight. The scene transitions into small bedrooms transformed into creative spaces. Dim lights. Laptops balanced on beds. Microphones set up in corners. Headphones wrapped around restless minds. Notebooks filled with handwritten lyrics appear on screen. Words scribbled in haste, crossed out, rewritten, underlined. These were not polished compositions. They were emotional documents. SoundCloud culture rises quietly in the background, a digital underground where permission was not required and rules were flexible. Here, vulnerability mattered more than perfection. Honesty mattered more than technique. Jahseh's music did not fit into one category because his emotions did not fit into one form. His sound moved freely between rap, rock, lo-fi, acoustic confession, distorted screams, and whispered melodies. One moment felt aggressive and explosive, the next felt fragile and exposed. This unpredictability became his signature. The imperfections were intentional, even when they were unconscious. Cracks in his voice carried meaning. Silence between lines carried weight. Listeners did not hear performance, they heard presence. What made XXXTENTACION stand out was not complexity for its own sake, but emotional directness. His music did not hide behind metaphor. It spoke plainly, sometimes uncomfortably. He expressed pain without decoration, confusion without apology. For a generation raised in digital spaces, yet starving for genuine connection, this felt revolutionary. Here was someone unafraid to sound broken. Someone willing to say, "I don't have it figured out." Someone reflecting emotions many felt but struggled to articulate. His songs became mirrors, imperfect, cracked, but honest. As the music spread, the visuals begin to change. Numbers rise across screens. Streams climb rapidly. Usernames multiply. Comments flood in from different countries, different languages, different lives. The audience grows organically, driven not by marketing but by resonance. The camera cuts to live performances, crowded rooms, low ceilings, intense heat. Phones raised high, screens glowing like constellations. Voices screaming lyrics back with urgency, not as fans, but as participants. These concerts were not passive experiences. They were emotional exchanges. Chaos and connection intertwined. Mosh pits form, not only from aggression, but from release. Bodies move, collide, fall, rise again. There is catharsis in movement. For many, these moments provided something rare, a space where emotion could exist without explanation. XXXTentacion's music connected deeply with youth across the world because it acknowledged what they felt rather than instructing them how to feel. It did not offer solutions. It offered recognition. With visibility came scrutiny. Headlines flash across the screen. Social media reactions overlap and contradict one another. Praise and criticism exist side by side. Public opinion fractures into extremes. This documentary does not simplify these moments. It observes them carefully, understanding that complexity resists clean narratives. Jahseh was not a character written for comfort. He was a real person living in real time, with flaws magnified by attention and conflict amplified by fame. The idea of duality becomes central. Talent versus turmoil. Expression versus consequence. Growth versus mistakes. The contrast is uncomfortable, and that discomfort is intentional. The story refuses to judge, choosing instead to reflect. Public perception often froze moments in place, while the individual continued to change behind the scenes. This tension between who someone was and who they were becoming remained unresolved, visible in both art and behavior. As time moves forward, the tone subtly shifts again. The noise begins to soften. Acoustic sessions replace distortion. The camera lingers longer on stillness. Jahseh appears more introspective, more aware of himself and his impact. His music begins to explore responsibility, self-reflection, and the possibility of change. Vulnerability remains, but it is paired with awareness. The evolution is not perfect, not complete, but it is real. Growth is portrayed not as a destination, but as an attempt. Lyrics become quieter, more deliberate. Emotions are examined rather than exploded. There's a sense of questioning, of looking inward rather than outward. Mental struggle remains present, but so does the desire to understand it. His art reflects this shift, offering moments of calm amid chaos. These songs feel like late-night thoughts spoken softly into the dark, hoping someone might hear and understand. The legacy expands beyond the individual. Murals appear across cities, painted by hands that never met him but felt connected through sound. Candles flicker in night scenes. Messages written in notebooks on walls, in comment sections. Playlists shared endlessly. Fans from different cultures, languages, and backgrounds united by the same emotional frequency. His influence is visible in modern artists who embrace genre fluidity, emotional honesty, and vulnerability as strength rather than weakness. XXXTentacion helps shift cultural expectations. He opens space for conversations about feeling deeply, about being confused, about not having answers. His presence encouraged a generation to speak openly, even when words felt heavy. The impact of his work continues not as a finished statement, but as an ongoing dialogue between art and emotion. The final act slows the pace dramatically. Empty stages appear, lights dimmed, microphones standing alone. Night skies stretch endlessly above quiet cities. The music becomes atmospheric, almost weightless, like memory itself. Handwritten text fades onto the screen, imperfect and human. Pain can create art. Art can change lives. The words linger, not as a conclusion, but as a reflection. As the screen fades to black, the idea remains clear. XXXTentacion is not remembered as a flawless figure, but as an honest one. A symbol of emotional truth, inner conflict, and undeniable impact. A voice that captured chaos and turned it into sound. A presence that still echoes, not because it demanded attention, but because it dared to be real.